The distress beacon cut through the void like a scream in the dark. Ambassador Vex Thor of the Galactic Council watched the holographic display with mounting dread as the signal pulsed from the colony world of Kepler 442b. His scales rippled with anxiety, a reflexive response his species couldn't suppress. The Krellians have breached the outer defenses, reported Commander Xyloth, her mandibles clicking nervously. 12 colony ships, approximately 40,000 civilians, mostly Thalarian refugees we relocated there after the Sigma incident. Vexathor's 4 eyes narrowed. The Krellians were brutal, a warlike species that had terrorized the Outer Rim for decades. But Kepler 442b wasn't just any colony. It was under Terran protection. Have we contacted the humans? He asked, though he already knew the answer would complicate everything. The council voted against it, Xyloth replied. 17 members abstained. They remember the stories. Of course they did. Everyone remembered. 15 years ago, humanity had joined the Galactic Council with promises of cooperation and peaceful exploration. They seemed pleasant enough, curious, enthusiastic, even naive about the dangers of deep space. The Council had welcomed them cautiously, assigning them protection duties for a small mining colony as a test. Then the Vraxan horde attacked. What happened next became legend. The humans didn't send their military fleet, they sent something far worse. They sent the refugee fleet, a collection of converted colony ships, mining vessels, and civilian craft that had been protecting Earth during their pre-FTL days when asteroids and debris threatened their homeworld. The Vraxans had laughed at the mismatched armada. Right up until the humans demonstrated what desperation and creativity could achieve. Every mining laser became a weapon. Every cargo hauler became a battering ram. The humans used gravity assists, debris fields, and their own damaged ships as kinetic weapons. They fought with a ferocity that made the Vraxans, seasoned warriors, all retreat in terror. But it was the final act that cemented humanity's reputation. When the Vraxan flagship tried to escape, a small human vessel, a kindergarten transport named Little Dreamers, had rammed it at near light speed. The pilot, a teacher named Sarah Chen, had evacuated the children and programmed the autopilot for one last lesson to the universe. Humans protect their own. After that, the Council had quietly suggested humanity keep their military forces away from populated areas. The humans had agreed, amused by the fear they'd inspired. Now Vexathor faced an impossible choice. The Krellians wouldn't stop. They'd enslave or slaughter every being on that planet. The Council's combined forces would take 4 days to arrive. 3 days too late by all estimates. Earth's 7th Fleet could be there in 6 hours. Send the request, Vexathor said finally. May the ancestors forgive us, Captain. Marcus Rodriguez received the distress call while his fleet conducted routine patrol near the Andromeda. Gate. The 7th Fleet wasn't humanity's, largest or most advanced. It was something else entirely. It was crewed by volunteers who'd lost everything in the early days of humanity's space expansion. Every captain had buried family. Every pilot had survived a disaster. Every Marine had a ghost that drove them forward. They called themselves the Reckoning. All ships battle stations, Rodriguez announced calmly. We have a code Phoenix. Civilian colony under attack. 40,000 souls, mostly refugees. Around him, the bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. No panic, no hesitation. They'd drilled for this scenario 1,000 times, hoping they'd never need it. Krellian fleet composition? Rodriguez asked. 17 warships, sir. Heavy cruiser class. They outgun us 3-1. Rodriguez smiled, a cold expression that made even his own crew uncomfortable. They always do. Helm, plot a jump right into their formation. Engineering, I want every reactor at 110%. Weapons, unlock the old guard protocols, Weapon systems that violated 17 different galactic conventions on warfare. Munitions that were too cruel, too efficient, too human for polite society. Sir, his exo said quietly, the Council will file protests. Let them. Rodriguez's eyes fixed on the tactical display. Those are our people down there. And we made a promise. The Krellians detected the FTL signatures 6 minutes before the human fleet arrived. Commander Crack studied the readouts with satisfaction. Only 7 ships against his 17. The humans were fools. Then the signatures resolved. And Crax's confidence evaporated. The human ships emerged from FTL drives not at a safe distance, but inside his formation, an insane maneuver that should have torn them apart with spatial distortions. Instead, they materialized perfectly, their weapons already tracking targets. Evasive, Cracks began. The humans didn't fire conventional weapons. They fired ideas. Nanite swarms that ate through hull plating like acid, electromagnetic pulse waves that fried systems at the molecular level, and worst of all, kinetic harpoons that punched through shields and dragged Krellian ships into collision courses with each other. But it was the psychological warfare that broke them. Each human ship broadcasted battle footage, not propaganda but documentary evidence. The Vraxan Horde, the siege of Proxima, the defense of New Hope Station. Every instance where humanity had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious through sheer, stubborn refusal to surrender. The Krellians watched humans ram battleships with shuttles, watched them use cargo containers as improvised bombs, watched them sacrifice individual ships to save dozens more, and they understood. These humans didn't fight to win. They fought to ensure no one else lost. Cracks ordered the retreat after 8 minutes. Of his 17 ships, 9 were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had lost nothing, not one ship. 3 hours later, Ambassador Vex Thor stood in the council chamber as the human delegate. Admiral Okafor presented her report. "The colony is secure," she said simply. "We've left the 7th Fleet in orbit until your forces arrive. The Krellians won't return. You violated 32 protocols," one council member accused. Admiral Okafor smiled. "We violated 32 protocols to save 40,000 lives. I'll gladly answer for that." Vex Thor watched the chamber erupt in argument. Some demanded sanctions. Others praised humanity's intervention. But in the end, the result was inevitable. A new protocol was added to council law. In cases of imminent civilian casualty events, human military forces may be deployed without standard authorization delays. It wasn't an official endorsement. It was simply acceptance of reality. When civilians needed protection, you called the humans, even if it meant unleashing the most feared fleet in the galaxy. Because humanity had learned long ago on their isolated world, hope is worth fighting for, even when the odds seem impossible. Especially then.